All right, I'd like to call the Village of Weston Plan Commission meeting to order for 6 p.m. on Monday, November 11th, 2024. Roll call, please.
All right, oh, come on. My bags up, there's a little bit upstairs, go upstairs. Cronin,
Here.
Zagami,
Here.
Eason,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Present.
Jordan,
Here.
Roper.
Here.
Call the meeting to the ETC committee to order. Is there a roll call, please?
Olson,
Here.
Cronin,
Here.
Christensen,
Here.
Garrett,
Here.
Hall,
Here.
and Mumper.
Here.
And you guys can go continue, I don't know where out there, but it's recorded, so.
Okay, no worries. All right, public comment. Is there anybody online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment?
Only staff online.
Second time, anybody that would like to make a comment? Third time, any comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to minutes from previous meeting. Item number 4, minutes from the October 4th, 2024 PC Joint ETZ meeting.
Motion to approve as presented.
Motion by Deason,
Second.
second by, I think, well,
We doing them separate?
we have to do them separate, yep.
Second. Sorry. Oh, sorry, right.
Motion by Deason, second by Gurnt. On the question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
There a motion to approve the minutes of the ETZ committee meeting on October 14, 2024.
So move. Second.
Motion by Hall, second by Gary. Any all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, minutes stand approved as printed.
Communications, disclosures, and recusals. Members of the body should make any required disclosures or recusals during this time. Do we have any? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 5, written communications received. Alrighty. Public hearings, zoning map and text amendments, conditional uses, and related requests. The first item we have tonight is item number 6, ETZ, project number 202400354. Tim Vreeland of Vreeland Associates on behalf of client Bruce Johnson, requesting a rezone from RR5 rural residential 5 acre to RR2 rural residential 2 acre on a 8.25 acre vacant property located directly east of 163401 Talesian Way. PIN number 082280813300974. I'll open the public hearing. Presentation by applicant and or staff.
Are you here for your dad?
Yeah.
You want to explain the project?
Sure. Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Dustin Breland, 6103 Dawn Street in Weston. So their plan here is to divide up this into a 4-lot CSM. It's currently RR5, so 2 of the lots are gonna stay in RR5. And then 2 of the lots will be under the 5 acres. We're just looking to rezone that lot 1, lot 2 of the proposed certified survey map so that they meet code as a for a lot that one is 4 acres and one is 4.5 acres, plus or minus through the river. You guys have any questions, just let me know.
Thank you. Public comment period. Is there anybody online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment on item number 6? Second time, any comments? Third time, any comments? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Recommendation.
We have the staff report included in the packet. The property was shown as being a Seward, single-family small lot on the future land use map, but in talking to the Public Works Director, there's no immediate plans to extend sewer and water there. So that will be up to the ETZ to determine if they want to rezone the property to allow those 2 lots to go to the smaller lots, or if they want it reconfigured to the 3 lots. Just to give you some, I guess, history around the area, the lot directly to the west is a smaller, SFL right now. And that's kind of how it goes down the road.
Okay. Item F, discussion and recommendation to the Board of Trustees by the ETZ. Oh, so this is not for planning,
This is
correct?
not Plan Commission, this is an ETZ. So this is located just across the river off of County Road J.
Jennifer, could you put up the map that shows the lots and the color map? It's on what page is this?
I don't have the screen. I don't know who does.
Oh, does someone have control of the
Jamie's
screen?
got the
I
screen.
have the screen. If you tell me which page I can go.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the page number on here. 52. 52.
Oh, sideways oriented. There we go.
Thank you. Jennifer, could you just clarify what those lots are to the immediate west of this parcel, zoning wise?
That's F. Single family, large lot.
So those are SFLs?
Yeah,
Okay.
the kind of turquoise color, those are all
Okay.
SFL.
And north of them, that gray represents
Gray
RR.
is the RR5,
Okay.
which the two lots, basically lots 3 and 4 would remain that. They're not asking to rezone those. They're
Correct.
asking to rezone to RR2, which is kind of the one that's in between the two.
Right.
So from a staff perspective, I mean, they can kind of go either way. I guess I'd rather them stay larger right now, just because most likely Roman's gonna get somebody who wants to have a garage. And they typically want bigger garages because it's a bigger lot. So I wouldn't want to see them go all the way down to that SFL.
And the overall parcel is currently 21 point some odd acres, is that correct?
I don't remember exactly. Oh, shoot, it turned my whole pack.
It says 8.25.
8.25 is what it says.
That's what,
That's what they're rezoning.
that's what the two that would be rezoned to the west are, but I think when you add in the other two, it's over 20. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
No problem.
It doesn't-
There's a CSM that was just on it. It's plus or minus 21.6
Yeah,
acres.
that's what I thought, it was around 20. So if it was to just be divided and somehow they came up with 5 acre lots, 4 5 acre lots, then what process would we? I mean, they're in RR5 now currently, right?
Right.
And so it would just be an approval of a CSM, correct?
Correct.
And then the RR2 and the RR5 designation in the town and in the ETZ, those for column purposes and for graphic purposes, those are very similar in both land use and in,
Right. Some of the more.
the differences are the
It
size
could
of the
require
lot.
conditional use on one of the uses. yeah,
Right, okay.
In the smaller district.
Thank you.
No, I guess I probably should have given this one to you. I didn't realize this wasn't PC and EPZ.
Is there a motion? Any other comments?
So there is, Carrie passed out the determination.
As I said, you
form.
needed to cover the determination.
Um,
You need to cover the determination.
Oh,
Yeah, so there's the determination.
It's
form.
on page 2 of the handout.
What sheet here would you go?
Termination completed by planning commission. Is it a proposed rezone consistent with the comprehensive plan as is required by the Wisconsin statute?
Yeah.
Yes.
Does the rezoning further the purpose and intent of this chapter?
Yes.
Does the rezoning address any of the following that are not properly addressed on the current official zoning map? a mistake that was made in the mapping of the official zoning map. Factors that change such as availability of new data or presence of new roads or other infrastructure, additional development, annexations or other zoning changes, growth patterns or rates have changed, thereby creating the need for rezoning. I think they're all no, aren't they? Or,
I would say 2 and 3.
Yeah, yes.
pardon?
2 and 3.
Yes.
Number 4, does the proposed zoning district maintain desired consistency of land uses, land use intent intensifies and land use impact as related to the
And grounds.
round of the subject property?
Yes.
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 Is that it, or is there more?
Oh, that's it.
Is it?
So starting on the bottom of that would be the ETZ's options for your recommendations for
Okay.
approval.
ETZ action for options proposed outlined in section 94.17.03 sub 6. Recommended approval of the ETZ. Recommends approval of the rezone request and forwards the recommendations on to the village board. Or is a recommendation denied? What's your choice?
Move to approve rezone request and forward the recommendation to the village board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Hall, second by Christensen to review the rezone request and forward it onto the recommendations to the village board on 11/18/24 meeting agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, rezone will be approved. Is there a motion to adjourn the ETZ committee?
Motion to adjourn.
Montford and Hull, motion made in second to adjourn the ETZ committee. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, ETZ committee is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving right along, item number 8, project number 2024-0353. Benjamin Kudranowicz of Kudranowicz Lawn Care LLC, 221155 County Road Y, Hatley, requesting a conditional use permit at 5906 Hildeman Street, Weston, to allow for a light industrial land use in the B3 General Business Zoning District and to allow an outdoor salt bunker within the WHPA Wellhead Protection Zone A overlay district, where such land uses are only permitted through the granting of a conditional use permit. I'll open the public hearing. Presentation by applicant and or staff.
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Chair Cronin and members of the Plan Commission. So as you stated, this item is a conditional use permit application due to the nature of the use and its location in the Wellhead Protection Overlay District. The applicant is here and I'm sure he'd be happy to answer any questions, but just a brief overview. He's proposing to lease approximately 1,000 square feet of the 6,000 square foot commercial space. The remainder of the space is utilized by Ringel Medical Supply for medical warehousing. And the applicant's business is a lawn and landscape maintenance service business that provides landscape services as well as snow removal services. They have pretty standard operational hours, 7 to 7, Monday through Friday, and then of course, depending on snow removal needs. So the wellhead protection, the applicant has been working with the public works director on the wellhead protection aspect of the business. The reason that it's needed is because there is exterior salt storage proposed. So there will be a salt bunker that he would like to construct, and he is working with both Roman and Michael on the building specifications for how that would be constructed and then what would be required in terms of how that salt would be required to be housed. In terms of parking, there is only the one remaining use, which doesn't really have any employee needs, but still we're estimating 1 parking space there. And then 4 for the 4 employees at this business, and the total of 5 required spaces would be able to be accommodated on site. In terms of the landscape material storage, he is proposing a trailer to be stored outside, a mulch bin that would be constructed with a future date, and then also the salt bunker. And he has provided a site plan showing the location of those items. Those would be required to be screened from the public view from the public right of way. But of course, the salt bunker and the mulch bin would need to be accessed by a trailer to load. So the condition proposed would be that staff would be looking at that and determining if the screening needs are met. So Ben is here if you have any questions for him, and then I'll turn it back over to the Plan Commission.
You gentlemen have anything you'd like to add?
No, I'm not. I mean, it's all wrote down. It's pretty much what we're trying to do is just move into Weston.
All right, thank you. Public comment period. Is there anybody online or in the audience that has a comment they'd like to make on this? Second time, any comments? Third time, any comments? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Looks like staff's recommending approval, correct?
Yes, yep, with conditions.
Question.
Go ahead, discussion.
Is the height of it is 10 feet? Is that enough? How are you gonna put the salt in that bunker?
We push it in. We'll push it in with loaders,
You dump it outside, then you push it in?
just on the edge of it, we can push it in.
Then you gotta make sure there is no leakage to the groundwater in that area.
Yep.
How are you gonna do that?
We'll have, big bunkers even on the outside of that to, control the overflow.
And how do you gonna load it in your truck? You pick it up with
With the skid steer. It'll also have an asphalt lining inside of it. Everything around it'll be asphalt that we will be working off of to load.
And then, how often you gonna inspect the asphalt inside the bunker?
It'll be as often as we can. I mean, once it's full, as we use it, we'll always be looking at everything.
Well, I think every spring when it's empty, you gotta inspect it.
Yep.
And then if there is a crack, because asphalt's gonna crack, I don't care what we do with that. So it has to be sealed,
It'll have to be sealed, yes.
crack filling and sealed.
Yes.
Are these part of our ordinance or?
This specifically, Michael, he's been working with Michael and Roman on the specs, and they've outlined for him what he would need to comply with in terms of constructing that. salt
What's
bunker.
our roof gonna be made out of?
It's gonna be, steel roofing.
Not a tarp?
Nope. I spoke with Ben last week to try and get some specifics. He wasn't able to provide an elevation for the commission, but essentially, the building materials lists, he's gonna construct a mono pitch roof system of 2x8 construction with 2x6 walls attached to the block. So the base will be very similar to what we have out back, but the hoop roof structure is not allowed in that zoning district. So that's what I discussed with him about the mono pitch roof.
So it's gonna slope off the back
I think
Slope to the north.
towards to the north,
to the field? Or the field?
the
What's that?
woods.
Yeah, towards the woods or to the field?
Yep.
Looks like the opening for the bin is right where the parking stalls are.
No, there's enough room there because there's a stall and there a rental right in between us anyway, between that and proposed bunker.
And you were okay with what he was proposing, Roman?
As far as the construction goes, yeah, as long as all the construction meets span charts, I'm fine with it as far as that goes. Needs at least a 3-pitch roof on it. Lining it with the asphalt liner is what's required. So, I mean, from a construction standpoint, it's, I think it's typical of what, like I said, even what we have constructed out back. So.
The concern is that it's near a wellhead.
That's really the only concern of, so I mean, the well is,
In a worst case
blocks north
scenario
of there.
would be that somehow there's some amount of salt that leaches into the groundwater.
Yeah, into the groundwater. That's the biggest concern. I think everything is.
I mean, that's not the biggest threat out there, correct?
Well, it's not, I'll be honest with you. The gas station up in Merrill by the truck stop. Nothing is, it's got so much salt in it, it's no good. It pulls the pump out about every 3 months. It's so hard on it. And it's from all the runoff off the highway in the brine. So it can be very difficult on a well. And there's a lot of treatment that needs to be done. So with that, Michael, did you, how are you happy with the joint? With the frost or any movement from the asphalt to, looks like it's being like a caulk joint or something, or some kind of a seal on the?
Yeah, I mean, it's, so it'll be paved in and then sealed. I mean, it's kind of how our foundation is here. Granted, we're not right there, but I mean, across the street essentially is our old municipal center from this site, and we had almost 20 times the salt storage there. So it's a pretty similar situation of, the asphalt surface with that joint. So as long as it stays sealed, yeah, I mean, would want to make sure it stays well maintained. But
That was closer to the well than.
and our salt shed was closer to the well and it had a lot more capacity, so.
Are there gonna be any sort of doors on the front of that, or is that gonna be open, closed?
I wanna put doors on it. I didn't know what the recommendations were at this time. That's why I'm also here. I will be working with a contractor that will be assisting us to build it, 30+ years experience.
What does our zoning say? Do they have to have it enclosed or have doors on it?
The salt bunker specifications would be determined by Michael, more so determining what would be necessary for the wellhead. It is considered an accessory structure, so it has to be, like Roman was saying, like a permanent roof, sides. It can't be any kind of temporary structure.
I'll be concerned dumping it outside and then push it in. And how it's gonna get cleaned up.
Well-
Because it has to be cleaned up. I mean, how are you gonna do that? You're gonna sweep it?
Well, I'm sure they've got there's an asphalt pad out there, correct, that they're gonna dump on? I mean,
Yeah.
quite honestly, that's for a lot of the snow removal guys in the area, that's pretty standard to dump and then push it in.
Yeah,
We don't have that luxury, or we can
used
dump
to.
because we have
I mean, that's how it
Yeah.
operated over at the other
Yeah.
facility, it was just an oversized version of what Ben's process is. So.
but that's pretty standard.
So the reality to me is that they need a conditional use permit in order to do this. They can't lease their property until they shouldn't lease the property until they can go forward. Me, as a plan commission member, I'm quite sure that Roman and Michael will look out for our best interest in facilitating how that actually looks. So for me, I don't have an issue.
Biggest question I have is if the commission would like to see doors on the front of that structure, like Ben said, he'd be willing to put those on there. I don't believe it specifically calls it out in the code that it's required to have doors.
I would think from a weather standpoint of rain and precipitation in general, having doors on it would be advantageous for him. I mean, putting hard salt in a salter is not easy on equipment.
We had that discussion last week, yes.
I mean, I think it would look nicer. It'd hide it a little bit more, but it ultimately protects his investment longer.
And from a security standpoint too, I think it stops people coming in there and helping themselves.
Yeah, and but as someone who does have a business over in that area, there has been theft. So, I mean, I'm sure you've seen the same thing, so. Locking it up isn't a bad idea.
Ben, you said the existing parking lot is all asphalt currently?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're basically gonna be setting these blocks on top of the existing asphalt?
No, we'll be putting I already talked to Ryan from RC Pavers and he would be doing the asphalt inside the bunker
Okay.
as Roman and Michael and I have been discussing. Oh, yeah,
So I own the building, but so the asphalt meets the end of the building itself, and then there's 60 feet of like grass and whatever else behind it. What Ben's talking about is adding the bunker from where the asphalt stops at the end of the building, building on asphalt on the backside where it's all grass.
Could I have the two of you just state your name and address for the record, please?
Yeah, Ben Cadrano, 221155 County Road Y, Atlee.
Andrew Hildeman, 206-644 Old Highway 51, Mosinee.
Thank you. Sorry, Valerie, thanks.
So is there any kind of, I'm just saying, this all sounds great today, and I agree with Joe, I don't have any problems with either. Now, 15 years from today, if they don't own that business anymore, or they've hired somebody to manage it and they have no idea about the issue of the salt leaching into the wellhead, is there any reinspection requirement at any point in time ever? Or is this a one-off, it's good now, and what happens 15 years from now?
It's a great question, Roy. I don't know if our code specifically calls out anything that intense from a maintenance standpoint. I don't think
I guess
came across
in
anything.
my head, I'm thinking, the village of Weston, they had a salt shed, but they're going to do that, right? And I'm very comfortable they're gonna do it in a private business, and I'm not saying you guys aren't, but you know, that's our concern, right? Is that ultimately this leads to a groundwater problem?
Well, there's a salt shed across the road equally distance away behind the village of Weston. Currently Schrader Trucking's got a salt shed there. He's got an existing one sitting there already.
Yeah, I'm just bringing it up. Is that
Right.
an issue that somehow should be addressed, or is it?
Maintenance wise.
One
The
item,
conditional use permit, can it be something that there's an inspection every X amount of years or something?
one item that may help to address that is when there is a change of ownership, they need to get a zoning permit. And there's an occupancy required with that. And I would think with the salt, you'd be very thorough with the salt located on site to kind of go through with them best practices. I think that would be part of that occupancy inspection. So that would help to alleviate that.
We do have an annual inspection that another business does provide us with within a wellhead protection zone too. I'm guessing that was part of the approval. So,
Tommy.
yeah. I don't think I say names, but yeah. No, it's fine.
Car wash.
So yeah, so the Tommy Express car wash is within a different wellhead protection zone, and has underground storage tanks, so. That is one of their requirements, is to show that they inspect their tanks, so.
Is that annually?
Correct, yeah.
So we could put something like that on this?
And just an annual, like, yep, we got all the cracks sealed, it's still watertight, or however you wanna phrase that, yeah.
You okay with that, Roman?
I'm fine with that.
Staff?
Ben, is
I'm
that,
okay with that.
will he have enough time yet this year to get your asphalt down?
Well, that's why we're here today.
Cause it's pushing.
I gotta have her down by deer season. Most guys close her up.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
American
that
will be
gives you
shutting.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
You okay with doing an annual inspection?
Yeah.
Providing that to us?
Inspection. Who inspects it?
I guess that'd be a great question. I don't know, is it
Who
you
inspects it?
or?
Is there fees along with that? Is there?
They
a bunch
inspect
of
it,
meetings
take
along with
pictures.
that?
No,
You would inspect it, you would take pictures, you'd send them into the
Okay,
village.
so it's more or less a self-inspection, and if, I don't know, if Roman or Michael or somebody from the bar, whoever wants to come out and take a look, make sure things are running properly, that type of inspection.
yeah.
And you're
I'm all
okay,
for that.
you're okay with the doors?
Yep, 100%.
I don't think anybody here is trying to beat you up, but a lot of us are on the heels of this PFAS issue. Like water quality is a very big thing right
Oh, I know,
now. And
I know.
I think that's why everybody's being a little cautious and hesitant, so.
Yeah.
And I believe lack of proper storage would invalidate the conditional use permit.
Right.
So you taking care of the shed is dependent on your conditional use permit.
Yep.
So.
Well, we have to, as plan commission, we do have the conditions here that we have to go through. Gentlemen, like to go through that real quick.
Please.
All right, number one, is the proposed conditional use consistent with the comprehensive plan, this chapter, and all other plans, programs, and ordinances adopted by the village?
Yes.
The proposed conditional use in its proposed location and as depicted on the required site plan will not result in a substantial or undue adverse impact on nearby property, character of the neighborhood, environmental factors, traffic factors, parking, public improvements, public property or rights of way, or other matters affecting the public health, safety, or general welfare, either as they now exist or as they may in the future be developed as a result of the implementation of the provisions of this chapter, the comprehensive plan, or all other plans, programs, and ordinances adopted by the village. That is a long one. Can we shorten that up?
No,
I'm just kidding.
you could be like,
Say number 2.
just only read a portion of it.
Yeah, I suppose.
Could record it.
Item number 3, does the proposed conditional use maintain the desired consistency of land uses, land use intensities, and land use impacts as related to the environs of the subject property?
Yes.
Yes. Is the proposed conditional use located in an area that will be adequately served by and will not impose an undue burden on any of the improvements, facilities, utilities, or services provided by public agencies serving the subject property?
As long as it's maintained properly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
5, did the potential public benefits of the proposed conditional use outweigh potential adverse impacts of the proposed conditional use after taking into consideration the applicant's proposal and any requirements recommended by the applicant to ameliorate such impacts?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion. Whoever is gonna make a motion, probably bear in mind that there's been some things discussed as far as a door or something to enclose that, as well as an annual inspection.
I'll make a, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead,
I
Gary.
was gonna say, I'll make a motion to approve with the contingency that the owner does yearly inspections, takes pictures, make sure that if there's any cracks in the asphalt, they're sealed up. And as well as the,
I don't wanna, when you say owner, you, so I own the building, but Ben's gonna lease it.
the owner of the salt shed,
Okay, so,
owner of a salt shed, whoever owns a salt shed. And then also, that the applicant, I should say applicant, will install doors on the front of it, so it's completely enclosed.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion by Gurnt, a second by Deason on the question. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then this, just as this has to go to the board.
No.
Or it doesn't?
No.
Okay, So we're
We'll
all
just
good to go.
make those changes and then have you sign it on.
perfect. Hopefully you guys can get her done before Thanksgiving.
Right. Good luck. Go
Thank you.
asphalt, go.
Thank you. All right, unfinished business, project or item number 9, project number 20230085. Discussion and or action on revised landscaping plan for ABC Weston LLC, 3200 Schofield Avenue. Pin number 192-2808-173-0982.
Yes, so this item is one of 2 at this parcel location. So this is old business that you've seen previously for the landscape plan at 3200 Schofield Avenue. So last meeting was before the commission and there were still a few unresolved items. And so it was deferred to this meeting. So looking at the landscape plan and the landscape calculation worksheet that have been submitted under the newly adopted landscape guidelines. All the categories of landscaping have been met. So the street frontage requirement, hard surface building foundation, buffer yard and general yard. All are met by the number of points and the distribution of types of materials. So staff is recommending approval of the landscape plan as proposed. And I'll turn it back over to the commission.
I'll entertain a motion.
As presented.
Second.
Motion by Mumper, second by Deason. On the question, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. So that's that. Item number 12, project number 2024-0110. Oh, hang on a second, I'm jumping ahead here. My bad. Item number 10, project number 2022-0392, Ryan Street Rentals LLC. Request for a conditional use permit amendment to amend the project phasing timeline for the continued construction of a personal storage facility within the LI Limited Industrial Zoning District per section 94.4.06 parent 3 at 6508 Ryan Street, pin number 192-2808-221-0985.
Thank you, Chair Cronin and members of the commission. So this item also has been here a couple times. Initially, the discussion was around a conditional use permit amendment to adjust the phasing timeline. That was noticed and heard last meeting, and the main item that came up that was of concern to the commission was the drainage, the existing drainage, and there were several neighbors that were attending that meeting that were noticed as part of that. So as the first item to address, Roman and Michael have been working with the applicants and have, at least to my understanding, have sufficiently, they've established drainage that is sufficient, and we do have photos to confirm that. So that's item 1. And then the second item is that the phasing timeline last meeting, what was brought forward differed from what the planning commission had seen previously. So they have now aligned the phasing timeline with what was seen in September, with the only change being phase 2 was amended to December 31st, 2024, and the rest of the dates have been left as is. So those are the 2 items. I know Roman and Michael are more familiar with the drainage component, and then the phasing timeline, the attachment mirrors what the planning commission saw in September. And I'll turn that back over to the plan commission.
So you guys went out there and what about talk to me about the drainage.
Yeah, so Michael and I met Jeff on site 2 weeks ago approximately. And reviewed the drainage plan that REI had submitted. And after reviewing it with Jeff, it was definitely clear to Jeff that he agreed that it's not actually gonna stay on his site. So we came up with a plan to rework the drainage. So it's actually grading in between the 2 existing buildings to a catch basin on his property, right next to the drive access to the fenced in area. And then we addressed the north property line drainage swale concerns with him, as far as making that more aggressive on the north side of the property. He's assured us that all those corrections have been made. I have not had the chance to get out there in the last week since he's had it done. So
Is that on your schedule to go out and look at that?
yes, we've got quite a bit of stuff on the schedule for tomorrow.
I'm sure you do. Do you have a schedule on that as to when you might get out there to make sure that's okay before we start getting frost in the ground?
Yeah, I mean, we can make that happen tomorrow as long as Jeff's gonna be on site. I don't know what Michael's schedule looks like. I believe it's best to have Director Wodowski
I
there too.
just don't wanna have a room full of neighbors again.
We were on site with Jeff for,
all wound up because the water's not going the right direction.
And that was the main reason for making the change kind of more towards the eastern side is the observations we received from some of the neighbors and seeing that what was shown on the original plan wasn't going to work to address what the neighbors were experiencing. So the kind of keeping that water in instead of trying to do something on a joint property line there, it should solve the issue as far as what
Okay, we just need to get out there and make sure.
verify that it's done. Yeah.
It's,
We did receive video and photos
Yeah.
last week during the 3-day rain
I
event.
saw the front section that it was done and matted and looks good. I saw them working out there. You guys were working out there last week, and then when I went by I don't know if it was today or Friday or what, but it was all EMAT. It looks nice. I don't know if the rest of the backside, I think that's where a lot of the neighbors are really upset about the backside, like it was.
Yeah, well, I think that most of the neighbors were towards that front side, that's where it was 3 neighbors to the front.
Okay,
Is where the water was going, that's where we had addressed the flooding in that 1 yard.
sure.
So, no, it was definitely more of that front side. The back side, we made a lot more aggressive master plan there. We moved it in, per Michael's request and have it's way more aggressive than rolling like we had, rolling or nothing, so. So yeah, we can take a look at that for sure tomorrow. But yeah, the trees are already getting planted on that side. I think we'd be in really good shape there. It's perfect land right now.
Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, Jeff Nowak, 166-307 Green Hill Road, Boston, Wisconsin, 54403.
Thank you, sir.
How much clearance, Jeff, is underneath the fence in that swale along the north property line? So there's that section of fence on the west end of the buildings.
Page 90.
There's a picture in here, isn't there?
You're talking.
Not the outflow for the storm pond that we had talked about, but directly behind the building, the farthest building to the west.
Page 90.
10
Oh, you got it.
inches.
10 inches.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess this is on the east side now, but those pictures kind of show how instead of it falling off the property, it wraps around and stays on the subject property.
And this was video from the multi-rain event around the election time, right? That multi-day rain event.
And you feel, Jeff, that the swale that you've got up front there specifically by the 3 yards, we're not gonna have an issue with, or you're not gonna have an issue with water going over there? You feel confident with that?
Right, yeah, and REI designed it and we built it to their design.
Okay.
So I took what Michael and Roman had, we kind of had an idea to get it away from Rogers Yard. Then really, once we got to Rogers Yard, his ditch has a storm sewer in it, and it was just gonna kind of deviate and flow to his ditch. And so that's where we're taking it back across to the south towards the junkyard basically and getting it over to that side. So, and it's aggressive. They said, that the village can request a 1 foot berm, and we just did the 1 foot berm. We just kept it aggressive all the way through. I think it looks good as well. We'll be able to put a mulch bed on their landscaping for Roger and for the rental house that we have there. So I think it turned out real well cutting across that back area.
Yeah. And there's no issue with the current phasing timeline? You guys think you'll be able to get everything that's outstanding yet done before the end of the year? By December 1st, I should say.
Phasing will work out as well. The building showed up today, so hopefully we'll have that up here, in the month.
Okay.
Blacktops. Your blacktop is good.
Yeah, there's, about 20% left to be completed for the paving. That'll be,
And they're on schedule to do that.
yes.
A lot of asphalt that's gotta get laid in the village.
Oh, yeah, there is.
You guys are been lucky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody have anything further? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the amendment to the conditional use permit number 2022-0392 at 6,500 Ryan Street. To amend the project phasing timeline, do we need to discuss anything in addition on the drainage, or we're good on that?
We'll conduct a site visit and.
Or do I'm saying, do I want to add that in and say, subject to final inspection by staff or not?
Please.
Okay, that's the way I'll make it.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion by Mumper, second by Gurnt. Or should I give it to Deason?
Go ahead, give it to Gary.
Okay.
Give it to Joel.
Motion by Mumper, second by Gurnt on the question.
Joel, are you okay?
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure I'm understanding this. We're approving it contingent on the inspection being done at some point this week yet, correct?
I think it'll be fine.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys coming down.
Great stick. Minutes.
New business, number 11, project number 20230085. Discussion and or action on architectural approval for building 2 for ABC Weston LLC, 3202 Schofield Avenue, in number 192-2808-173-0982.
Yes, so this is going back to the ABC project, and this is building 3202 Schofield Avenue. So this is a multi-tenant space, and the question, the item before you is basically the architectural review. So the site plan has been approved, that's all been reviewed prior to this meeting. We're just looking at the exterior this time. And I did hand out before the meeting revised building elevations that they would like to have submitted in lieu of what's in the. So looking at, oh, go ahead.
So if you remember, they changed that first building, got approval, so now they're just coming back in because they had the original approvals. You guys approved the whole site at that time, so we're just kind of heading off them, coming in for that second building, which they have at the state right now.
So this is different from what was in the packet, is that correct?
Yeah,
And
that's
this,
correct.
and this corrects the north side that's at 36%.
Exactly, that's what, so they just chose, so basically the determination that the planning commission does need to make is that they consider the ephes, the stucco, kind of a finished siding, because that isn't officially in the category of, in our zoning ordinance of like enhanced finishes. But if the planning commission does make that determination, then the only deficiency was on the north side, that these revised elevations basically correct that. And bring it up to the 40%.
So the north side, isn't there a fence on the north side? anyway?
Yeah, yes,
Why,
yep.
why would we need to even be worried
Well,
about that?
because in the zoning code, there's still a requirement that the enhanced finishes need to be a certain percentage on not street facing, on street facing sides need to be even more, but other sides do need to have some. So they just weren't at the level that's required.
But I always thought that, didn't we agree that, I thought if we have it fenced in, and if it's not being able to see what's.
Well, that's your purview to
Okay.
do, but the retail areas are supposed to be consistent all the way around, because if the fence goes away.
comes down some.
Mhm.
So that, in the industrial areas, you don't have to have as much of a facade. It just has to be a finished building.
It was proposed. That's how it was proposed, yeah. I know.
They weren't very far off either. I mean, adding that, it wasn't dramatic.
But this right here is what they're proposing and they were,
Yeah.
they're okay with that, we're okay with that.
Yeah. And they also added the corner feature, continuing that stone wasn't continuing all the way along the corner, and they did add that as well. So they met all.
On the east end,
Yes.
yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And the west end is fine.
Yep.
Isn't that the side that goes out to the sidewalk to the back street?
The west, let's see,
What up to
the
other
east is the other side that's visible.
Yeah, yeah, on the
Yep.
street side.
Yep.
But the west side is, wasn't there a sidewalk or something that went to that?
There
back
is,
street?
but I don't think that's further over.
And they do have the required percentage because they have that type, that smart siding that meets, but the reason the stone was required is there's something about a corner lot in our zoning code that it's supposed to be contiguous or supposed to continue, and that's what was lacking.
But they don't really have a corner lot, do they, because of the coffee kiosk thing there?
They do have a corner on
They got
Birch
a
Street.
corner.
Oh.
The east is on Birch Street.
Oh, okay.
I think it looks nice.
So I,
And they've been landscaping up a storm this week, is that's all good?
That was the one you just
I
approved.
mean, technically, they should have waited until you,
But
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
because our landscaping kind of
Just approved their plan.
changed a little bit.
I'm sure they wanted to do it before it froze up too.
Yeah.
yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Any word on tenants? I'm just curious.
I haven't heard anything. No.
And we did ask them for in the narrative, if they knew anything, if they could provide that information, and they didn't have any new information.
Why are they starting this?
The plans are at the state, so
It's been submitted to DSPS already, it's my understanding.
I'm guessing it's coming in.
Go for it.
Motion to approve proposed architectural plans as submitted.
Motion by Gurnt, second by Eason. On the question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Was there anything you were here for specifically?
The next
one.
Oh, you're the next one. I would have jumped ahead had I known that. I'm sorry. I apologize.
interesting watching the rest of it.
Item number 12, project number.
openings.
Project number 2024-0110, discussion and or action on proposed amendment number 5 to site plan for multi-tenant commercial development at 2302 Schofield Avenue, block redevelopment 192-2808-181-0992.
Yes, so this item is also one that I know you're very familiar with. And so we're looking at the elevations. There were concerns last meeting because the changes were basically simplifying the design and reducing the amount of enhancement. So these elevations are much more consistent with what was submitted originally. There's the multiple pillars or columns in the front. There's a similar degree of contrasting materials, enhanced materials, et cetera. The percentages meet, and so staff is recommending approval.
What's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
We have is Zagami on the commission?
Mhm.
I don't know why I missed that. Let's get here.
You're up to bat.
He's off.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure. I got all confused because I thought you were coming off because Joe was, I don't know, I was all confused. I apologize.
It's all right.
So we have a motion by Zagami, seconded by Gurnt on the question. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you, sir. I'm just curious, is there any word on penance? I have to ask. My curiosity is killing me.
Yeah, we actually have 2 more signed leases right now.
Okay.
And for the remaining 2 spaces, we have 2 good leads we're working on, so we'll see how
Awesome.
we go.
Okay.
We get lucky, we'll be full by the end of the year.
Good for you guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats.
All right, item number 13, discussion on proposed comprehensive plan amendments. Subsection A, set comprehensive plan amendment public hearing date for Monday, December 9th, 2024 at 6 p.m.
Hey, this is just a reintroduction since it's been many, many years. You've seen this in 3 different forms. We talked about land use last year, kind of bringing that up. But essentially the big change to this amendment was to align our corridor plans that we had worked on in 2021 and get those into the comprehensive plan, because right now they're not consistent. So bringing in that land use from those plans and some of the transportation suggestions. Also, we had done the housing study, a couple of them in the last few years. Those are incorporated in, and also the park and rec, the corp plan. So that was pretty much what we were waiting for, was getting the corp plan that it was approved earlier this year into a format that could be incorporated in as the park and rec component of the comp plan. So essentially, this is just going to buy us a little time because we're gonna start right over again because we're ready for that 10-year update to start working on that. So essentially this would go to public hearing next month with you guys, and then also go through a public hearing at the board level.
Question, is that master plan from park also become part of this?
Yes, so that was what some of the hangup was, is the formatting was different. So you'll see that that is incorporated in.
Some, because still some of the item is not there. Although he said you can add to it, but it's a master plan, we can add to it,
Right,
doesn't matter.
right. So they took the corp and incorporated it into the comprehensive plan.
Okay.
And if you want a hard copy beforehand, just let me know. Otherwise, I did also email that to you guys. I think it was last week. So you have that in your emails directly.
Do you actually have printed copies, John?
You can have this one. Basically the big, and I'll have it in there again, is, Mark Roffers put in kind of a little synopsis. That's the first 4 pages. That kind of outlines what we did, because I know this has been a long time coming.
Yeah, well, I spent most of the day
Yeah.
today reading 200 pages.
Yeah.
And I commend you. You've done a very comprehensive job in setting this up. I like the direction you're going. I'm just not real sure how the heck we're gonna pay for all this stuff, but
Well, the thing is we'll be starting over. So you have to remember, a lot of those thoughts that were in there were things that were done when we looked at this 2013, 2014, 2015, because it was adopted in 15. So that's why we'll go through a whole process again to see if things have changed. I think I think we're gonna see some different focuses from the board than what had been in here before, so.
Yeah, I mean, the board for the most part is new.
Yeah,
So-
so there's a public participation component that we'll have to go through too, to bring in what the public is asking for too, so.
Okay.
Jen, is there still talk on, I see number 9 on here is Prohaska's, is that still gonna continue to be a park? Okay. I
Yeah,
just heard some scuttlebutt that might be for sale.
They,
It was deeded.
wasn't there a ton of work done out there already? Like land clearing and,
they're just trying to decide what to actually do, because they did a master plan for it as part of the corp.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, I guess, some of the road built up for the park and everything out there. It's just kind of like, a lot of these things you put in the plan, so then you know what to work towards and for. It doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna happen the next 5 years. It might be at 10, 15, but at least we're working all in the same direction instead of, but yeah.
last winter when we weren't plowing,
Yeah,
we
we
had public
did.
works guys that had nothing to do. They were working out there trying to get some of that done, if I remember
Correct.
correctly,
Yep, yeah.
so.
The purchase of that property though by the village, the deeds states that that property would be used for parkland, so it's recorded that way now, so.
I think I just remember Mark asking about it, if we really needed that much space out there, or if it could be resold, but he may not have known about that deed restriction on it as well.
Okay. Do you need a motion to set the hearing date,
If
Jen?
you want to, I already had it going.
Oh.
It's more, so that you guys know.
Anybody have any further questions on item number 13? All right, moving on, staff reports. You want to take them separately or all together?
Oh, God.
Item number 14, acknowledge and place on file the October 2024 staff approved certified survey maps and site plans. Item number 15, acknowledge and place on file the October 2024 building permits. And item number 16, acknowledge and place on file October 2024 project update report.
Motion to acknowledge 14, 15, and 16 as presented.
Second.
Okay.
Motion by Beaton, second by Zagami. On the question,
The only thing that I will point out is that Wendy's is probably not gonna open until closer to the end of the year, based off of what Roman said, instead of Thanksgiving. That's what they originally had said. But they want to make sure that they have staff appropriately.
Yeah.
darn it, I'm missing out on my free Frosties right now.
I know, I
mean, come on.
apologize. They're on schedule to turn it over this month to Manna Hospitality Group. The contractors are, but from the boots on the ground. Amanda doesn't want to rush getting it open. They own the one down in Clover, and you know, that one's been apparently extremely successful, so they're following their pattern.
I can appreciate that. They got their ducks in a row.
Right. I think that's what I heard, is that's why they shut the other one down. Lack of proper employees or staff.
I would assume so. I mean,
Just wanted a new facelift for it.
Okay. Did we vote on that?
No, but
No, okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Miscellaneous, number 17, announcements and committee commissioner remarks and staff referrals. Gary? Anything?
I have nothing.
Travis?
Nothing.
I have a little issue hearing Carrie. So I don't know what can be done about that. If Carrie,
I'll
if you could
speak
just
up.
speak up
I
a little
will.
louder,
Yep.
or if we need to mic you, or.
Okay.
We can have a mic,
Next
grab one of
door.
those off the
Or
back
what?
table too.
Okay.
and turn
You
it
just
on.
want to
Yep.
next
Say
door.
what? Say what?
Exactly. Turn up your hearing aid.
Dave, I'll grab a mic
Just kidding, Dave.
next meeting. I'll grab a mic from the back.
I would like to try that if that's
Yeah,
okay with
sure.
you.
Yep,
Yeah,
no problem.
Thank you.
Yep.
You're just right on the edge of
Yeah,
yes and no.
okay.
Thank you. And
No
then,
problem.
okay, so we've got the agenda here for December and January. But from a staff standpoint, is there a scheduled Christmas party at any time in our future?
It's January.
January 10th, I think, yeah.
January 10th?
Amy, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Okay. More information to be followed. Thank you. That's all I have. I'm good.
Shane, anything?
I actually I have one question for Roman real
You
quick.
can't go backwards.
Yep, well, it says no.
I got one. Storage units for Josh Wiesman.
And
What is going on? I heard there's some scuffling about some fill there that has to be removed. Does that have to be removed yet this year? Or is that just, he has to make a diligent effort to get removed in the near future?
Josh is going through he's been working with Carrie to kind of break that project up into different phases. As far as the fill removal is concerned, he needs to return the west half or the east half of the property to buildable, site.
Okay.
Currently, there's I believe, a large pile of spoils there. But he's still got, an active permit for that site.
Okay.
So as it sits right now, I'm not in any rush to get the bulldozer down there.
So as far as this year, because he's quite worried about that he felt he had to be out of there this year yet.
I don't believe we had indicated that.
Okay.
Josh has been extremely proactive with his site down there. I think the cost of building wasn't as anticipated, and I think in his head, he didn't intend for it to be a single phase project.
Sure, okay.
But you're gonna see that come back, I think, next month.
Yep, I think so
So,
too.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Gary? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Shane. I'll get you next.
That salt shed, he
Yep.
dumping the salt outside, he has to clean it up. Other than he's gonna have to groundwater.
Yeah.
I had project like that, the highway department salt contaminate the whole town. The whole town, nobody can even drink that water. So, and for 40, 50 feet to the groundwater. And this is no different.
Yeah, they're probably gonna have to have a broom or something out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think where all that asphalt is, I think that sheet drains to the west, which does end up in our street catch basins as well. So
If he puts doors on it, that's gonna greatly help with
But if he's dumped, like
Correct,
Shank said, if he's
correct.
dumping outside and just taking a skid steer and pushing, you have all that residual salt sitting on top of the asphalt that when it rains or snows, it's gonna get pushed around.
The dust of that salt, which is remain behind it, that's what causing the problem. Because it's very fine particle and it fill up the void on the asphalt. It's difficult, you know, you can't just push it with a dozer or skid steer to go to that bunker, it doesn't work.
I just have one comment. I talked to Michael on this a couple weeks ago. And I got two text messages today with some pictures by my house, leaving the yard facility. Text to me saying, is this how you leave your job sites? And I just want to bring that up because it was muddy, it was bad. And those guys are tracking out of there today. And there's really no tracking pad and the road is mud all the way down to Weston Avenue. And I had talked to Michael about this and to our prior administrator as well, is just to try to see if we can get something done because the mud does come out onto the road. And if we're gonna we recommend or we tell other people to keep their roads clean, Roman, I think you're good about that too on a construction site.
Well, I got one for you when you're done.
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, you try your best to sweep the stuff off and keep it clean. Cause I know the DNR gets yucky about that too, so. But Michael was real good about it. He just said he was gonna check to see if those guys could do something with some more paving. But I think the pavement that's there is just it's just got too much mud and stuff from them guys tracking on it.
Sure. Is that kind of like the same concept with like on some of the county roads where they go off onto gravel roads, they have that 50-foot apron or whatever, is that the same thing?
So we're gonna need to
Prevent
put
that.
more than, we have 50 feet right now at Ryan Street. We're gonna need to probably quintuple that distance just to try to get it so everything tracks off yet still within the driveway that we can sweep off before it's on the Ryan.
I think
So
before, when they did the screening, and I know they screened on the north side this time, probably because that's where they're putting a lot of their compost and stuff.
yeah,
But it seems like there's such a short run from there and everything's running downhill. So when they leave there, they're going across muddy little
Yeah.
potholes and stuff. And they don't have enough time to detract their muddy tires.
Yeah.
Like before, they would go down the hill and then they would have to turn to go back up to the asphalt to get to the road. But I don't know if we can, if there can be some little bit more rockier material there, but I get it from my wife all the time too, that she hates blowing the end of the driveway, all the gravel and mud and stuff out of there,
I
so.
think we'll look into it, Gary.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody have anything else?
Yeah, you were gonna say something.
Oh, the Ricky Val site, but we can talk about it there.
Ricky Bell site.
Yeah. The B&D warehousing site,
Oh, was that the concrete trucks or?
yeah, from last week.
The only comment that I have, Jen, is Ryan Street Rentals allowed to rent without a conditional? They have to get occupancy before they can rent those. What can they rent right now?
No, no. but
That
we
was
have an
correct,
issue
and that's
with
what's been
one.
communicated to Jeff is
Do they have a
that
sign out there?
yes, we also asked him to take down the sign twice.
Okay.
And his response was, when they call for that site, he refers them to his other site on the north side of Wausau. So
Okay,
we can reiterate that the sign needs to come down.
I mean.
Typically, the
it's-
next step would be citation enforcement.
I should have brought this up under that.
Yep.
It almost
Is
should have been
there
part of
any
it.
reason why you can't rent those?
They haven't been inspected yet.
Well,
So there was a holdup with the electrical service there. And so there's no final inspection's been done on the existing buildings.
so what's the holdup?
He hasn't asked for one.
Oh, kidding me. Does he know that?
We've got,
Money tied up there.
well, there is.
Yeah, you'd think he would want to hurry up and get that opened up so he can get some rents in there.
Yeah, but I think we were waiting on final inspection also for the determination from the board as far as, or the commission as far as the timeline revision. So
And I think for me at this point, I would like to see, I just think back to when the neighbors were here.
Mhm.
And we had, I don't know if you were here yet at that time, but a room full of really angry people here. And I remember that was part of the reason we did such a strict phasing timeline. And I don't want to waver from that. I mean, they need to get that project done before they're given occupancy, because otherwise, part of me does feel like this is just gonna get
Well, I think there's
kicked down the road further and further and further.
there's a section in there for the last two buildings in 2025.
They're gonna just slide if we let them.
Anyways, I've gone on too long. It was just a comment, so we're supposed to be anyways, but. Next regular meeting dates, we have Monday, December 9th, 2024 at 6 P M. And Monday, January 13th, 2025 at 6 P M. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Please.
Second.
Motion by Decent, second by Mumper. On the question, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. We're adjourned, 7:11. I didn't think that was gonna go that fast.